it's not really going that I don't think that'll affect the gold price that much because because the market assumes that the gold is there. But the whether it's there or not doesn't matter because the the exchange rate the because the natural exchange rate for gold versus dollars in a world where the dollar no longer is trusted is something like 40, 50,000 per ounce. It's not anywhere near where it is now.
Right.
And we're headed in that direction, whether there is gold in Fort Knox or not. If there isn't, then we'll get there faster. If there is, we'll get there anyway. So like it's not worth placing bets.
President Donald Trump and billionaire Elon Musk have raised concerns about the safety and integrity of the United States gold reserves stored at Fort Knox, Kentucky. Both have fueled long-standing conspiracy theories, suggesting that the gold may be missing or even moved out of the country. Trump, in particular, has even expressed interest in personally inspecting the highly secure depository, despite official reports from the U.S. government confirming that the facility holds approximately 147.3 million ounces of gold. However, Rafi Farber, a prominent expert in precious metals, argues that whether gold is actually stored at Fort Knox is far less significant than many believe. Farber asserts that discovering the true state of Fort Knox's reserves might cause temporary market fluctuations, but it would not alter the long-term trajectory of gold's value. According to Farber, the real factor driving gold's value is the growing global distrust in fiat currencies. As faith in the US dollar diminishes, the natural exchange rate for gold could rise sharply, potentially reaching between $40,000 and $50,000 per ounce. This inevitable shift in gold's price will occur regardless of the status of Fort Knox's gold reserves. Broader economic and geopolitical forces largely influence gold's value, which continues to be viewed as a hedge against inflation and currency devaluation. And the physical reserves at any single location will propel gold's price upward over time. In addition to gold, Farber points out that silver is facing significant challenges, particularly with rapidly depleting reserves at institutions such as the London Bullion Market Association, LBMA. The scarcity of silver and increasing demand could lead to a substantial price surge. Farber notes that if another market squeeze, similar to the one seen in 2020, occurs, silver prices could rise dramatically. With global economic uncertainty rising and trust in fiat currencies declining, Farber believes that gold and silver will become increasingly crucial components of the financial system. As such, investors seeking to protect themselves from these economic shifts should consider including both precious metals in a diversified portfolio. We present the clips of Rafi Farber's latest video. Before we continue to discuss this, please subscribe to our channel and activate the bell icon for timely updates.
I'm not saying that it won't have an effect on gold. It definitely will. And if we get the news that everything's there and it's not double, triple, quadruple owned and everything's kosher and we can all party now, it's not really going that I don't think that'll affect the gold price that much because because the market assumes that the gold is there. But the whether it's there or not doesn't matter because the the exchange rate the because the natural exchange rate for gold versus dollars in a world where the dollar no longer is trusted is something like 40, 50,000 per ounce. It's not anywhere near where it is now.
Right.
And we're headed in that direction, whether there is gold in Fort Knox or not. If there isn't, then we'll get there faster. If there is, we'll get there anyway. So like it's not worth placing bets, unless you have extra change and or you're a billionaire and you want to put a few million on it. It's not worth. I've placed options bets on gold before and I've lost them all.
Oh, geez.
I place. No, it's okay. Like I do it every 2 years. Every 2 years I reload long-term options on one of these gold or silver ETFs just to, if the end game happens within 2 years of my bet, I'll get a lot of dollars. I don't even know if that's going to help me at all. But no, anyway, I reloaded this year on call options on one of the big gold ETFs, and I'm in the money now. So great, maybe I'll make back the 3, 4,000 I lost over the last 10 years. Buying a few $100 every 2 years or so. Maybe not, but it's the same thing. If you want to play the Fort Knox game and you want to buy a few call options on gold, hoping that there's no gold there, and then it jumps up, you might make money. But either way, either way, the faith in the dollar as a gold derivative is going to be lost, and we got to prepare for that, not whether or not there's gold in Fort Knox. I looked at the LBMA statistics. I think it was last week. I had neglected to look at them, and all of a sudden I see all this talk about gold being shuttled out of London into New York, and then you look at the gold supplies there. Not really. It could be that the LBMA. It probably is that the LBMA is being used as an exchange system to bring gold from Switzerland to the United States, which is apparently what's happening, which is what
Yeah.
happened in 2020. It's the LBMA. It's an exchange house, an exchange network for the transfer of gold titles, and then they're physically fulfilled in Switzerland and then shipped to New York, with London not really being part of the physical equation. But if you look at the silver float, we're at new record lows. I think it's 722 million ounces. And there was a guy, I think Mario Aneka sent me an article, and I'm going to be talking with him later tonight on his live stream. I think David Jensen wrote that the total number of silver ounces owned by silver ETFs is 522 million, and they store all that stuff in London. So
Wow.
if you take 720 through four, it's something, but the difference between the total amount of silver at the LBMA that they admit to having, minus the silver that's owned by ETFs, is about 198 million ounces.
Wow.
That's it. That's it. And now if you look back at Silver Squeeze and you look at the amount of silver that was in SLV at the peak of Silver Squeeze in, I think it was February 2021, right?
Right.
That's how you got your start.
Yeah.
Or yeah, that's
Yeah,
how
yeah, because I started at
yeah.
January 31st, and then the next month the silver squeeze really took off.
Yeah. So if SLV had all of the silver it had at the peak of Silver Squeeze, the LBMA would be completely drained. There would be zero there.
Wow. That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
absolutely crazy.
So I mean, if we do it again, we could do it. But it's trying to get everyone on the same page at the same time is very difficult. But that the numbers are there. We can do it.
Recent discussions surrounding the state of the global financial system are sparking renewed interest in the gold to silver ratio, especially as financial instability continues to rise. Historically, the gold to silver ratio has stood at 15 to 1, a balance reflecting these precious metals' true value. However, with the introduction of gold and silver derivatives, financial instruments that have distorted the actual value of these metals, Rafi Farber argues that this ratio will return to its historical balance during a peak financial crisis as the monetary system faces significant disruption. This shift is expected to occur when the illusion of gold and silver ownership through derivatives collapses, allowing the true value of these metals to emerge. As silver becomes increasingly scarce and demand for it continues to grow, Farber highlights that the price is poised to rise sharply. The collapse of gold derivatives and their influence on market values will push silver into a more prominent role as a store of value. The silver squeeze of 2020 was a small preview of what could happen when market forces push the price of silver upward, potentially correcting the gold to silver ratio. Farber explains that investors will likely turn to silver as a key asset in this environment, driving prices higher and restoring the historic 15 to 1 ratio between gold and silver.
That is, if there is any one single bell that rings and says this is the end game, it's the gold to silver ratio.
Right.
I keep saying that the gold to silver ratio at the peak of panic, it won't stay there for a very long time, but at the peak of panic, we know the end game is hit and this is the end of the monetary system. That's when we have this gold to silver ratio of 15 to 1, because that's the historic monetary ratio for hundreds, even thousands of years. That's what it was. And why was it that way? Because nobody had any gold derivatives back in the 1700s.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying there weren't any gold derivatives. There were, but they were very temporary and private and over the counter between parties. If you wanted to travel to let's say, I don't know, Glasgow to London, and you didn't want to be carrying a whole bunch of gold because you could get robbed on the way. So then in Glasgow, you could get like a note for that amount of gold to be delivered to London that you could ride on horseback to, deliver it to the Bank of England so you could get your gold. That was the extent of gold derivatives, right?
Right.
So if you lost the note, nothing happens because nobody else can use it. That's the point, right? And now we have all this crap like flowing through the system that it pretends to represent the gold and the silver that it doesn't. So I'm saying back then there was no market for gold derivatives. Gold derivatives were a convenience that people used when they needed to.
Right.
But there was no market for them. It's not like they were sold. So in a world where there's no functioning gold derivatives, no market for them, then silver has to be used on a retail level because you can't use gold derivatives because they don't exist.
Yeah.
So then by logical extension, in a world where there are no functioning gold derivatives, what happens to silver? Well, it has to go to 15 to 1 because there's nothing else to use. So that's what we're waiting for.
Yeah.
What triggers it? In Silver Squeeze, it wasn't quite organic. It was all of us getting on the same page, and it freaked out the ETFs to the point where they actually put it in their prospectus, like the silver stackers are threatening us. We even got that amount of attention is remarkable. But in the end game, it's not going to be planned. It's not going to be us doing it. It's going to be everything coming together organically and
Right.
everyone saying we need to buy silver, and it's going to be a natural silver squeeze, and not a lot of people are going to have money. So I'm against tariffs on principle because I'm a libertarian. However, um, I can't cheer them on, but I can understand why somebody like Trump would use them for leverage.
Right.
And yeah, but still, I mean, you're threatening to shoot yourself and hoping that the other side says, please don't shoot yourself. I don't think the whole idea that all we need to have for a better standard of living is for the government to steal more money. It doesn't matter how the government steals money. I'm sure there are better ways and worse ways. But if the choice is you steal money or you don't steal money, what's better for me? It's better if you don't steal the money. Okay.
Right.
Just forget all this other stuff. Like the tariffs, it's just another form of theft.
Yeah.
While I don't trust that Trump only sees it as a negotiating tactic, I think he actually thinks they're good. And please, if you're like a MAGA guy and you love Trump, look, I'm very happy with a lot of stuff that he's doing, but I can't just say, oh, it's great and anything he does is great. I know he's going to make a lot of mistakes, and
Oh
tariffs are
yeah.
one of them. And I'm still not discounting them as a negotiating tactic. I just hope that he doesn't take him that seriously, and I think there are better ways to negotiate.
Until recently, gold's price had been rising steadily but slowly, with little growth for about 55 years. However, the onset of a new gold rush has seen gold prices soar, nearing $3,000 per ounce. This surge in price has prompted discussions about the potential value of America's gold reserves, which could now be worth nearly $750 billion. As the price of gold rises, it may significantly influence financial strategies and the broader economic landscape moving forward. Experts suggest that such a shift in gold's value could create opportunities for the U.S. to leverage its gold reserves to stabilize the economy. This growing value may drive increased interest in gold as a hedge against economic instability and inflation, reinforcing its status as a critical asset in times of uncertainty. That's it for today. Will gold hit $3,500 this year, or will we see a major market shakeup? If you find this video informative, don't forget to support your Finance Log team and turn on notifications to stay informed about our latest videos. See you in the next video.